We've got Travis, a writer for Starlight. So let me go ahead and put you on visual right now. So how's it going, man?
Hey, good. Oh, my chair's squeaking.
Right? There you go. So, yeah, so like talk to us about how you got started. I got to read some of your bio, like you were a music promoter and nightclub owner and shit like that, and that's pretty exciting and shit.
Well, yeah, I was a crazy rave promoter for a very long time. And I did a documentary film. I was in the news. I got into an argument with Joe Biden.
How was
I
that?
was, huh?
How was that? Getting in an argument with him?
His people are rude. He's rude.
Oh, damn.
He's just not a nice guy.
Wow.
I don't know. I'm probably gonna vote for him, but I don't ever want to deal with him ever again.
Damn. Is he kind of like the blowhard kind of jerk off or what?
You know when those videos were going around and him snapping at people at town halls and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Literally, my attitude was like, yep, that's
Yeah.
who he is.
That's crazy. Okay. Because I know, like, sometimes, I mean, one person, he wasn't going to vote for him, but he met him and he said he was kind of in people's spaces. Like, he was kind of a more in your face person. Again, this is just one person that I know, but I don't know. I just am not into him really. Let me also share you a link, too. Sorry.
Awesome. Yeah, it's just one of those things where, like, I don't know what else to do. I don't like either of these guys. They both made my life miserable.
Damn.
And they've hurt people I love. In fact, both of them inadvertently have caused death in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah. But
That's a hard thing.
Biden's very anti-rave. If you're not aware, that's why we got into it.
He's very anti-rave, you said?
Yeah, he's very anti-rave.
Why would he be anti-rave? I'm just curious to know.
I have a theory based on that time period, which is he was part of the Clinton era, right? Like he was part of Clinton's house, but he was a senator at the time or whatever, and him and Bill McDermott and all those guys were around Janet Reno, and Janet Reno was making a name for herself by cracking down on crack houses, which was their way of calling rave. The Clinton administration had a way of using words to hurt their enemies.
Oh, newspeak, you mean? Something like that? I know they were talking about that. That's like in 1984.
Newspeak?
Yeah, like they talk a certain way to the news to get a certain agenda across or to hurt your enemies and all that.
Right, like describing people got to be as thugs. Everybody who was black was thugs. And suddenly the police felt like, the media felt like they had justification to not trust anyone in LA County or that area.
That's really weird.
Because they were thugs. And I don't know how history forgot that, but they did that.
Mm-hmm.
And they continued that whole house of death. When Jeremy was going after raves, it was more of a political thing, and they brought it to the forefront because they thought it was an easy win. Like, oh, look, all these kids are on drugs because they're in crack houses.
Oh, so they're taking off from the dare thing.
Right. And so they moved it, saying basically, if you listen to this music gives you the same results in your brain's chemistry as doing cocaine. Now, what that is your brain releases, what is it?
There's serotonin. Is that it?
Right, serotonin. So what they're saying is raves make you happy by releasing serotonin. Cocaine makes you happy by releasing serotonin. So therefore the same thing. And that was their justification for it. And anybody in the scientific community was like, no. Raves shouldn't be outlawed because they make you happy, because cocaine also makes you happy. But that was Joe Biden's thing, and once he realized that he had that, he ran with it as a platform for a good couple of years, and he submitted the Rave Act to Joe McDermott, which basically said if you're playing techno, is how they put it, or electronic music in a venue, then you are participating in drug trafficking.
What? That is the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
So what happens is, because you're playing electronic music, if anybody at that show is found with drugs, the entire show is declared a crack house. The property owner loses their forfeits their property to the police, and the promoter is arrested with a mandatory 20-year sentence.
That is fucked up.
The promoter had nothing to do with it. The victim had nothing to do with it. And the drug, whatever the drug is, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're going to move the drug or sell the drug. It just matters if they found somebody with drugs at an event playing electronic music. So really, historically speaking, it's the only law in the books that targets a culture around a music genre. Like, you could be a Hell's Angel and be in a building being Hell's Angel, and if someone gets busted with drugs as a Hell's Angel, who's even trying to sell all the drugs for the Hell's Angels, that doesn't mean anything. Doesn't do anything.
Okay,
but if you're a raver at a rave and somebody else has drugs on them, everybody goes to jail.
Crazy.
And it failed. It actually failed. It didn't get passed. So Joe Biden he's a politician. Like, he's hardcore. He's got to get this through because he needs to win. He doesn't care about that culture. He doesn't care that these are teenagers and that he's criminalizing and villainizing kids that are like 15, 16 years old that have homework to do on Monday. What he cares about is making them seem like they're the dark side and they're evil, and there's this huge crack house thing going on, and we have to stop it before it destroys America. So he attaches it as a requisite to sign the Amber Alert, which nobody's going to vote down the Amber Alert.
Yeah.
So the Rape Act is actually tied to the Amber Alert and passed after it was found constitutionally not viable the first time around on its own.
They need to stop doing that shit.
Yeah. So, I mean, on that note, I had written him an email asking for clarification, and it just kind of disintegrated into some name calling. And then years later, so for a while there, if you were involved in anything electronic, police would show up, and they felt justified. Same thing, right?
Uh-huh.
It's a crack house, raves are illegal. Raves weren't illegal, drug trafficking is illegal, but he tied it together and he turned it into a crack house and made rave a bad word to where no one wanted to say the word anymore, using the language he doesn't get his agenda forward. And so the police started sending SWAT teams to raves, feeling justified. There are 15, 16, 18-year-old kids at these things, just there dancing. And the police were showing up in full SWAT gear and shooting off tear gas.
That's crazy.
Illegal. Because the government said it was illegal. So they were completely justified, and it's the kids' fault for being there. It was a mess. Take my life out. And so later, down the road, 2006, continuing that whole obsession with raves being illegal, kind of right-wing guy moves to Seattle, sees the rave thing. He agrees that these people are sinners and that these things are illegal and need to be stopped. So he wrote a note about how he had to stop raves or something anyways. Goes to a party that I was involved with, goes to the after party, I leave, decided not to go to the after party, and he just starts killing everybody. And good old Joe Biden could have defended it, but initially took the stance of, well, that's what you get for being rapers. So one of the very first major mass shootings, and for a long time the largest mass shooting in Seattle, was the Capitol Massacre. And Joe Biden was forefront to be an asshole about it, and then had the nerve to call the victims, why wasn't the people who survived? Why was it the house where we were planning the memorial services, asked if he could come and speak at the memorial service? Who's holding the fuck off? So I'm sure that's happening.
Damn, I'm sorry. That sucks. Because, like, I knew raves, like, the thing is that raves themselves weren't bad. I've been to one or two. The only thing was the type of drugs that you had to watch out for was probably E and not take too much of it. I mean, I never took E for the record, but usually it wasn't coke that, like, got in those raves, as far as I know, was just more E, but it was more. It wasn't like the super stimulant type shit that I knew about,
You know, it never. I think the problem is that when everybody is having a good time, it's easy to assume that everybody there is on drugs.
Yeah.
And if you're a police officer, you bought into that narrative. Okay, I had really heavy echo. I just got someone message me. Let me see if I can take this real quick.
Okay. Hey guys, so this is what we're doing on Drawn. So I'm drawing, if you guys want to know. I'm doing kind of a... So since we're dealing with this pestilence and stuff, and everybody has to bring up the narratives of, like, fucking the pandemic flu and the fucking, like, Spanish flu, I decided to bring up stuff like that's actually really famous pandemics or epidemics, like the bubonic plague. So I made dummy thick bubonic plague with COVID-19. They're great. Never trust a big button to smile. I did that, and it's like people are like going, this is so fucking funny. And it's like, the thing is that I kind of tend to laugh at it, and I think that's probably because, you know, I almost died, so I think, like, where it was kind of as close as I was going to be to death. So I just said, okay, fuck it. I'm just going to draw this really stupid fucking shit. And people really like it. Like, some people are going like, wow, man, I fucking want to hit that. And I'm like, are you serious? It's so funny.
Sorry, I'm trying to fix my echo real quick, everyone.
I don't really hear an echo really bad. I don't hear it at all.
Oh, shoot. I can definitely hear it. So.
Oh, it's probably on your end. That's weird. Yeah, but I don't hear anything. Usually it's the other way around.
Alright, so now that I wandered off and talked about Rave Land for a while.
So what kind of started Starlight? So is that why kind of Starlight? Because I looked at Starlight and I was like, this is kind of ravey, actually. I wonder where that came from. Well, I got to see what was that about, you know?
Yeah. The character Sarah in the story Starlight is a raver, and that's the purposeful choice. It's a decision she made. She didn't want to just make a raver because to have a raver, she makes a conscious choice to go towards that direction and find herself within that community because of how their lives turned out. They were childhood superheroes, and now they're not.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of coming of age and discovering you're going to be a superhero, they came of age and stopped and discovered they were going to be ordinary teenagers, whether they liked it or not. And the effect on that for Sarah was emotionally damaging, and it isolated her and made her withdraw, and she started to seek some type of, something other than being a superhero or being normal and wanted to do the rave world.
I see.
While her brother, Chris, is still obsessed with the idea of somehow making it back into being a superhero.
So why are they not superheroes anymore?
That's the story, if I tell you.
Yeah. Oh, so as it goes, then we find out more, basically.
Yeah. So they're not superheroes basically because something happens. And, the idea behind that is, when you were kids, you were teenagers or in your high school, and your best friend was going to be a famous guitarist, and he's the best guitarist in the school, and the girl was a writer, and she was the best writer, and you knew she was going to write great novels, and, everybody had a future, right?
Yeah.
And now they all work at 7-Eleven or retail, and they're still trying to do things or not do anything ever again, and they've given up on their dreams. Superheroes, from our perspective, if they were kids as superheroes, could do the same thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I had all these big dreams to be an astronaut, and yeah, I fucking now work at McDonald's or some shit.
Right. They had all these big dreams to join a superhero team. They were going to make it. They knew all the superheroes. They were part of the pantheon, if you will. And then they're not. And nobody calls. Nobody checks on them. They just got slid aside and were told to go to high school. And they can't tell anyone that's who they were once. And they have to cope with that.
Yeah. So it's kind of like being a part of something. Hey, Quentin, how's it going? Yeah, they're part of something, and then they're no longer a part of something. And it's like, oh, by the way, because you were never really a part of us anyway. So it's like,
That's
wow.
exactly how they did it.
Yeah. Kind of sounds like...
That's how Sarah feels.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like...
Okay.
No, go on, sorry.
Okay, Chris believes he can get back there. I mean, he's the type of guy who's still emailing Spider-Man on the weekends saying, hey, what's up, Peter? You know, like, I'm working on my stuff, getting my stuff together. As soon as I get done with college, I'll be back there in my new outfit. You think my new logo.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get you on that. So it's like, what kind of inspired you other than the raver culture and that one bit of it? But, like, what else inspired you?
Well, so I wrote the story, a very loose version of it, like, almost 20 years ago. And I like mashing stuff up. So I was with Brett with LA, who did surrogates. He's our artist, and we were at Burning Man together. And he was like, "Hey man, you gotta stop being a writing consultant and stop doing ghostwriting stuff and doing weird contracts and NDAs. You need to do your own books again." And we were talking about ideas, you know, at Burning Man, like you do, you know, Burning Man dreams.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, remember that story you wrote like 20 years ago? I always liked it, the one with the raver. And I was like, man, I am not doing a comic book about raves or ravers. That's not happening. You know, and he's all like, no, the whole story of, you know, former kid superheroes. So I thought about it, and I mean, we could have gone super generic, right? We could have said, oh, they were former superheroes, and now they're teenagers, and now they're going to find their way back to being superheroes, and it's about their struggle in a world where superheroes are a real thing, and they have to deal with real problems. And I was like, no, fuck that. That sounds terrible. I've seen Watchmen. I'm not doing this again. And I was like, look, Brett, I want to do a comic with you. I know you want to use those characters. I like the idea too, but I'm only willing to do it if we don't do that. They don't get to become superheroes, and I want transdimensional spider wizards and space pirate cats. And Brett goes, well, that sounds awesome. Okay.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so it's a mashup. You know, I don't want to live in New York and have them running around, you know, trying to find an agent or something stupid like that, or some evil corporation, or to discover every hero they ever looked up to is actually secretly a pedophile or a murderer or something. I don't want to deal with that, man.
Well, that storyline is actually beginning to get more tiring. It's like, oh yeah, evil, okay, whatever, you know. It's like it's getting old. Let's do something more relatable.
Yeah, so it's definitely not any of that. The story you're going to get is not that. Mm-hmm. You know, it's more about looking at 3 different approaches to life, which is Sarah, who follows, Chris, who believes in leading, and Roger, who's indifferent.
That's kind of funny. I kind of wonder, like, what they would be in the Justice League, because Batman is somewhat indifferent, but he's, like, more towards his own agenda than anything else, because he thinks always in contingency plans. But, like, Wonder Woman and Superman are more idealistic.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly where Chris is, except imagine if we took Superman's powers and told him he couldn't be a superhero anymore, but he still had all that bravado and idealism.
Was he like the equivalent of Superboy, basically?
Yeah, it'd be like Superboy. He had superpowers. He had a younger sister who had a really cool power that he didn't think was as cool as his own, but he brought her along.
Yeah.
You know? And she was happy. She was playing superheroes, even though they were actually doing superhero stuff.
Well, cool. Yeah, that sounds like a good story. So this is the origin story, or has this gone on for a number of years?
No, there's no origin story we were able to write. This is the story of them in a situation. I hate writing origin stories. Everything to write. These guys are already established in their universe. In this first issue, you get quickly ramped up in the first page or two of what the past mythology is leading up to this. The advantage of having Roger, which is the other character, who's a reporter, who starts the story off by giving us a briefing, since the whole idea is that Roger's involved, since he was a journalist researching it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why I was just wondering about it, because like I didn't know if it was like going to be an ongoing series, or this is just like a graphic novel about a story about one thing.
Oh, it's one thing. It's 7 issues. And those 3 characters from beginning to end of this story. And if it does well, maybe we'll do another one. I'm always working on other projects. Or someone else. I always tell Greg and Brett, if anyone ever comes to us and says they want to write about these characters, we should really evaluate whether or not we should let them, because I'm pretty much okay with it.
That's funny. Yeah, because I was always curious. So it's like, so you and Greg, you guys, I know you're one of the writers. So you and Greg both write it, and Brett is the artist, right?
Right.
Okay. So I just want to.
Let's give Brett even more credit. He's the designer as well. Like,
oh, cool.
His character designs are all him.
Nice.
When I got the images back, I was blown away. Like, Sarah's hat, her beautiful pants were mind-blowing. They took effort. The fact that Chris dyes his hair blonde, and you can kind of tell, and if Brett picked up on that.
That's nice.
Roger's mustache and glasses, so perfect.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Yeah, so it's like this. So that was part of Raver culture that you were part of. That's like the story. So did you actually like base it off of any specific superheroes or any universe, or you're just kind of like, yeah, whatever, I'm just drawing it. So you kind of know, but it's not really a thing. You get what I mean?
So really, if anything, their childhood pays homage to Power Pack. Anybody remember Power Pack? I love Power Pack. No.
Power Patch? What's Power Patch?
Power Pack. It was an 80s Marvel comic about 4 brothers and sisters who become superheroes.
Oh, that I didn't know about.
Yeah, that was my favorite comic when I was like 10. And I loved it. And 20 years ago, I wrote a fanfic basically that was like, what happens if they got older? And it really wasn't that interesting. It was a terrible story. But I'm older now, and I like the concept of taking characters like that and bringing them to being older. And then I really like the idea of not getting stuck into the trope that everyone else is doing right now, which is we talked about, which is Superman is bad, all superheroes are probably bad, Power is probably irrelevant.
Oh yeah, I think what it is that there's Art Adams created Power Pack, I think. Yeah, it's funny because Mark Waid did the one of Irredeemable and Incorruptible, right? And I actually liked Incorruptible better because it was a bad person trying to realize, I got to do right, I always like those stories more. Maybe that's a little bit more cornier, but it's not that I disavow that superheroes or people can't have a fake face or name or whatever, but in all honesty, the fake face or name, but excuse me, to be honest, I think, sometimes it's good, like we can't just like focus on, I don't think we need to have people perfect like Superman, he's one of a kind, but just somebody that's like actually kind of has a heart, because I think if we go one way where everybody is good, then that's not, I don't think is healthy or good, but at the same time, I don't think that everybody just is bad or has an agenda. I think that's a pretty unhealthy way to look at things, personally.
To be honest, I thought about Superman a lot, and I think that most writers don't get him, and I think he was damaged. This is so weird, but I think Quentin Tarantino did the most damage to it.
What do you mean?
This is weird, but I feel like if you were to put a time when everyone started to question Superman having superpowers into the mainstream audience, I think it would go with Kill Bill 2.
You think?
Because he has a monologue at the end about how Superman is dangerous. And almost immediately after that, it felt like Zack Snyder was like, hey, I'm going to go dark, and what if Superman is really treated like an alien, and I'm going to make a movie where it sounds like all the characters are just one character is giving the monologue split up into different characters. Sorry, I won't raise there.
Well, I don't know if I agree with. I like actually kind of like this thing of Spider-Man. I mean, not Spider-Man. Excuse me, Man of Steel. Now people like go, why the fuck do you like it? I'm like, first of all, I like whatever the fuck I like. But number two, I'm just kind of like, okay, look. Here's the thing. I've seen too many Superman characters where they make him fucking angsty and mean and angry, and I don't like him. You know, it's like I think that's too much in the wrong direction. But you're kind of going like, oh, but he's so happy and everything and blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, but there are many people that are very much in between. You know, you can't just say, oh, well, he's just this or that, the other thing. Like, you have to understand that Superman is kind of complex. Like, he's hard, and I think Zack Snyder kind of did it in a way, like, especially when it showed Kevin Costner, like, when he's playing Pa Kent, and, you know, Clark's getting bullied, and Clark, you know, could easily fucking rip this kid's head off. Now, if we had that superpower, like, I'm pretty sure most of us would have done that stupid fucking shit and gotten in jail or jailed as a freak. But he had to teach his son, like, look, I know you wanted to knock his block off, and that would have felt good, right? And he says, but the thing is that you can't do that. And I can't. It's been a while since I've seen the movie, but I think what I liked is that Zack Snyder tried to address that, you know? Like, I don't think he grew up in like, oh, 1950s America anymore. Some kids are assholes. Some kids will fucking test you. So I'm not saying it was a perfect movie. I just think that I admired the fact that he tried to make it where he was still inherently a good person. But he had to work through some things, but he wasn't like, oh, I'm fucking Kurt Cobain angry all the time and shit.
I hate Kurt Cobain angry.
Oh, yeah. It's like it works so much, but it's like for a while they were doing, we're doing the super angsty shit, and isn't that great, and it's deep. Like one of my buddies, Dane, back in the day in high school, he was a very precocious individual. And even in junior high, he was saying like, yeah, some people, they think it's deep because it's depressing.
Yeah.
So it's like he really kind of hated leaving Las Vegas for that reason, or whatever,
yeah.
You know.
I can see that. Well, I think with Superman, one of the things that I've noticed reading his books for years now is a lot of writers get intimidated by the idea that he is Superman, that he has superpowers, and I don't know if they know how to manage how to write a good story with somebody that, you know, God mode. But there is, and I think that's where Lex Luthor makes a great foil, which is Superman's weakness is his need to be a good person and to be a hero to people. So his weakness is people. So if you want to mess with Superman, you don't start a fight with them in robot armor. You hurt people or you hurt his image.
Yeah.
You know, in the old days, it felt like a lot of writers understood that wrote Lex Luthor. But in modern times, it's like, oh, we'll build bigger robot armor, or we'll use a scientific thing with the sun and a piece of hair.
Or we'll make him angsty or something, you know.
We'll make Superman angsty so he has the flaw of having emotions, you know, that are not good. And none of those things work as well as when you have a villain who challenges what's important and gives Superman his ability to be a good person, which is destroy the thing he loves, which is people. Admiration.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. So I just think it's just interesting. I think also sometimes it's a bit of lazy writing, too, that sometimes people go like, oh, well, I'll just make him angsty. It's like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
You're like, I never liked that about it. So it's like with Superman and all that, it's like, I never did like that. I never liked that. I never liked anything like that. It's like, oh, let me just make him into an asshole. And I said, that's a fucking lazy piece of writing.
Well, they do that with Batman a lot, too, which is depressing as hell. Like, they've taken away the detective part of Batman from the majority of the writers, and they just make him angsty and out-teching and basically James Bond with bat armor.
Yeah.
And then he gets more one-up than that, and he gets more libertarian, and then he gets more, you know, and you're just like, man, this is getting old.
Or like I know when they tried to go and inject that weird ass like, oh yeah, fuck Batman, he's got that white privilege shit. I'm like, okay, just shut the fuck up. I'm tired of this shit. It's like he's a character. I actually like how he's written. I like that he has issues, but I'm not going to be like, I don't know. I just got kind of annoyed with the point. Like, it's like, you guys are picking him apart in a way that's just fucking stupid. It's like, and then now you're writing him that way. It's like, oh, you're trying to write that so he's like not as bad of a person. I'm like, the point about Batman is that he's kind of psychologically fucked up because he saw his parents die. You know, that's not.
He's obligated.
Yeah, he feels obligated to do that because stuff happened. Oh, what happened here? I can still hear you, but your cam is
I
messed.
think my camera died.
Yeah.
Oh, my camera was on batteries. I didn't know it.
Oh no. Well, we can go on voice and all that. It doesn't matter. But
Okay, cool.
yeah, so I'll just put mine here and put it there. So, I mean, all in all, I do believe that. I don't know. I just think that I just really hate lazy writing. That's all. And sometimes, like, I'll like characters and stuff and everything, but at least I can you know, what is it? I can at least separate it and say, okay, well, if I don't like this character, fine, but at least I'll know, like, how to go and make it better or something, you know, or have ideas how to make it better. But it's just like, kind of, people want to just tear down a bunch of shit because they're like, oh, he's this horrible white privilege asshole and everything. I'm like, oh, shut up.
Yeah, that's just where we are with writing right now. It's like I don't want to write just about just males because this is male. Like, it's not challenging to me.
Yeah.
You know, but I want to create round and robust characters, and I'm willing to explore with other people how to do that. That's important to me.
Yeah.
But if I'm just look, I'm not a murderer, right? But if I write about a murderer, I shouldn't have to be a murderer to be able to write about murderers.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
I should be able to use some imagination, and if I'm wrong, that's okay, right? Because I'm going to be wrong about some things, or I'm going to be wrong in someone's opinion of that. The part about writing is taking on new challenges.
Yeah.
Writing a villain is challenging because I'm not naturally a terrible person, and I have to challenge myself with taboos, to be a better writer and to make a better story. Laziness is not challenging your taboos.
Yeah, you're just doing it just in the sake. That's why it's like sometimes I think some people kind of pander with some things. Like, it's perfectly okay to write about a person that is, different things like gay or whatever. And I don't think that's bad in itself. It's just that what I resent, and I think because I'm sort of like I have to be dealing with that as a minority, it's like, and I'm not trying to say that in a way that's like weird. It's just that what kind of bothers me about this whole thing is that people get fucking stupid about it, and then they go like, oh, but you got to check off all the lists. It's like, what the fuck am I to you? Like, am I like a goddamn cardboard cutout? Fuck you. I'm a person too. We all have flaws. We all have this. So it's like, to me, it's like, that's when it disgusts me. It's like when sometimes, like, I think Marvel's latest thing was Safe Space and Snowflake, and I was like, what? Is this a joke? Because it was kind of around April Fool's. And then people are like, no, this is not a joke. This is real. I'm like, really? This is ridiculous. This isn't even funny. Like, they didn't even try to make it funny or ironic. They just kind of like, oh, yeah, this is what they do. And it's like, that's so stupid. And it was just like so mind-numbingly awful. It's like sometimes you write about awful people because you have to give a juxtaposition, and sometimes you have to laugh at them. Like, my friend Lawrence does this book called Real Deal. Now, Real Deal is about people in the ghetto, and they're not good people. They're fucking terrible people. They shoot people, they rob people, they steal things. They're not good people. But it's like, it's funny because it's like they actually knew people like that, Mm-hmm. And that's what makes it funny, because you can't believe people like this exist, but they do. Like the guy GC, he's after this guy in Oakland that they used to know. And what was crazy about this dude is, like, he had a really little man syndrome. And what it was is that they knew his son. And his son, I guess what happened, his son came home, and his dad had hired a hooker. He had sex with a hooker. And then he told his son, oh, yeah, go and hit up this hooker. And the son obviously didn't want to do it. So the dad got pissed, drew the gun on the son, and made him screw the hooker. And you're like, what the fuck? And you start laughing, but not because, oh, this is funny, I want to see this happen every day. But it's more of like, oh my God, what the fuck just happened right here, It's more of like you're laughing because you can't believe that, you know? This is just sort of like you can't believe people like this exist, but they do. And it's almost cartoonishly fucked up how they live. And as awful and trashy as that sounds, it's like that's the reason why a lot of people kind of tend to like this sort of stuff. You know, they exist. I mean, one time, Frank Zappa got shit for some of the stuff he did. And he said, you know what, this exists. This is why I write about it.
Yeah, it's just so weird. It's like, I don't want to write the same, if we all write the same story over and over, we're not the point.
Yeah.
If all the characters are good, if I have a villain who's a villain who I need you to hate, right?
Yeah.
And I hate, as a writer, I'm not going to like him either. If he does something that's sexist, he's a villain.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, you're not normalizing it. Like, I know Alan Moore was given shit because he said, oh, he's a misogynist because look at what he does. He does League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I said, do you know how women were treated in the Victorian era? Do you know how that shit was about? It's like, she was actually pretty liberated from her woman her age. And yes, they had to expect that from shit. You know? Unfortunately, that's just how it worked out. It doesn't mean that she deserved it. It was more of like, this is what came with the territory, you know? That's why I got a little annoyed with that shit. It's like, nobody contextualizes things anymore. They really don't. And I think they're starting to now, but I just get annoyed when people pander like that and they say, I'm going to write about neckbeards and stuff all day long. And I mean, I write about neckbeards, but it's actually more of a joke on those people because it's like they're so disgusting and awful and they cause so much harm. I said, really? I kind of ignore them and they're like live in mommy's basement. I don't know what the fuck they have to do with me. But then again, I was raised in an era like where people started trying to troll me on the internet and I just started laughing at them, you know? Because it's like, oh, but shouldn't you be upset? Shouldn't you care because you're a woman? I said, I care. And yeah, I mean, it's not a great thing when people try to threaten you on the fucking internet, but you got to learn how to deal with it. And, you know, one of the things you have to do is just stand up to them sometimes. You know, I'm not saying like, oh, you poor baby, you're dumb if you don't. I'm not saying that at all. But I've just noticed the people that tend to give you shit about it and try to make you out to be the victim. Like when you actually tell them, you know, if shit really happened to you, they're the first ones to tell you it's your fault a lot of the time.
Yeah.
They can go fuck themselves personally. That's what Demon Bitch is about, kind of. Just people like that and just awful, awful people I had to deal with. Like they try to go and put up this masquerade of being a good person and they're not. You know, like I've had women fucking, like when a guy was treating me terribly and I told a woman that, and then they just said, well, that was your fault. And these were not women from the South or super uber conservative women. These were women that supposedly marched for Planned Parenthood and for women and all. I'm like, fuck you bitches, I hate you. So it's like, that's what made me like dislike women like that. They just were not people that I wanted to be around because they weren't honest about it. They weren't true about it. So that's my thing. So it's like I prefer authenticity in comics, and you may not like what the person has to say, but I will say this, at least you get to know what they're about, you know, and you can make that decision to be around them or not.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I've come back.
You have? Okay, let me put you out. There we go. So what happened to your camera?
What happened to my camera? Is it not working?
No, it's not.
I can see him.
Yeah.
And
My friend wrote utter. I have a friend named Rose, and she and I have 6 senses of humor. So I put down, and she wrote utter.
Utter? Because of the cow in the back?
Yeah, or something.
Yes. No, maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see your camera. That's weird.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, but it was so sad that I couldn't have Greg on there. Greg was really excited, and I'm like, he's like, I got called off to work. Huh?
That is great.
Yeah, he was really enthusiastic. But yeah, guys, if you want to, go to the Kickstarter pledge. We've got about 9 more days for this one. I'm not personally involved, but what I do in lunch hours that I just throw out. Sorry, my allergies. So I always throw out to people like, hey, go support this Kickstarter, because if it wasn't for them, like also Greg like contributed a bit to my Kickstarter, so I kind of want to be like return the favor, you know.
Christy, can you not see Greg on there right now?
Greg.
I'm over here.
Okay. All right. Okay. Cool. You're here. Okay.
I'm here. I'm here.
All right. Okay. So we'll put you up there. We'll put you up there at the spotlight. So yeah, we were talking about writing and all that, Travis and I. And we were chatting about like inherently lazy avenues in writing and lazy avenues in storytelling, but very good avenues in storytelling as well.
Okay.
So what's your perspectives on as a writer?
As to what the lazy avenue of writing, or
Just in general.
just in general. I think like writing just is for me. It's much of an escape from different things, and it is just a way to get all the things that are inside out. It just depends on the day that I'm having or whatnot. Sometimes I just need to just write a bunch of stuff that just feels like it needs to get out. Some days I just like want to write something that is totally outside of the norm of what I'm going through, because everything else is just crap. So
Right.
I want to write something like fantastical or whatever. I think like a lot of the writing that I've done has generally been more therapeutic in a sense. A lot of it's been in the hospital or on the side of somebody's bed or something like that, but on my own. But in essence, it's like that for me. It's really been a place to get out those things, and is it always good? I've got a whole box as I've had a lot of time on my hands, as we all have, to go through things. I have like 2 Rubbermaid totes of binders that I've kept since I think I was like 12.
Damn.
Just of I don't even know what to call it. But I'm afraid to look in some of them because I don't want to read it. But yeah, I'm sure there's some good stories in there.
Yeah. So you said hospital bed. Do you want to elaborate on that?
So the book series that I'm doing for Junior Days of the Apocalypse, I actually wrote the majority of that while my dad was in the hospital. Actually, when he passed away, I wrote the majority of it when he was dying.
Yeah.
So I did that a majority of it while in the hospital with him, and then the majority of Junior Days was like actually conceived while I was in recovery and stuff. So I was there for about a year, and
Wow.
so a lot of the book was done either on my back or sitting next to him, and then a lot of the time I'll wrote up book 2 of that with like I was just in transport with my mom while she was in the treatment and stuff. So a lot of hospital time on that book as well. So
Yeah.
I feel like every one of those books had a lot more. It was more therapeutic in the sense it was like I said, an escape for me in a sense to get away from all that the stress of what's happening. It's hard to deal with certain things, obviously. Like,
Well, yeah.
Just like life in general, but like when you're going through some sort of traumatic bad thing, it's hard to break it apart. You just have to do something else. And for me, like writing something totally outside of that scope is that thing for me.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. It's like when I sit down and write things or read things that people have written. I try to put myself in a place like where were they at when they came up with this, or how did they make it? Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's like I kind of understand. Like when I was drawing when I did Demon Bitch and Personal Monsters, I was from a state of really lot of anger. Because I had stopped talking to people because they were assholes, but at the same time, it was like I was told, "Oh, you should just get over it. Why are you a big fucking crybaby?" I'm like, "Really? What?" And this person would not have victimized just me, but them too. So they kind of I'm like, "What the fuck is this?" So it was my anger about this. So I just said, "You know what? I'm going to draw the meanest, ugliest shit ever." And you know what's great is that you kind of like start laughing, and in a way, like the dirty little secret is, I think you need to go through your hate pile. And people that were the first to tell me, no, you need to be a light type person. You need to be good. You can't be toxic. And I'm thinking they're like, you know what? Fuck y'all. I'm going to go write and draw all this shit. And it turned out to be mean and nasty. But I didn't put anybody's name on it. I mean, it's more of like to get it out, but it would be like, I know who you are and you know who you are, so fuck you. But at the same time, at the end of the day, it's like, it's weird because I sort of discovered this amongst myself and with other people. Like, they say, you should never hate and everything. It's like, no, it's totally normal to hate people. It's totally normal to be angry about how a person treated you. I don't think that's bad. But what I'll do is that I'll say, like, well, I start laughing because then it's weird because it's like people read that. Then they feel so much happier that I sort of gave them absolution like a priest. And they said, I admit it, I fucking hate this bitch. I hate her because she did. And it's not like small things. Like, most people like really fucking hate this person. Like, they were horrible to them. They cheated them out of something or whatever. And the thing is that then they start going like, thank you. And they actually forgive that person because they've acknowledged, I hate this person. And they can let it go.
You have to go through that process. And I think like it's you've given them that ability to do that. I think sometimes with storytelling, especially, I don't know, with what you've done in Travis and I, because of the articles of giving somebody the ability to see something in themselves in the story. And that's what I like about when Mike introduced me to you a couple of years back. Like, okay, this book is fun and it's a neat read because it's got that feel, edge of reality in a sense, you know, like everybody's got that little, that dark in it, you know, we all have that.
I think it's healthy to acknowledge, like, about things that we feel. Like, there are times, like, when people, like, sit there, and again, this is not, like, a thing to ignore suicide or anything bad. I'm just saying, like, the normal person will feel like, God, I just wish that person was dead, to, God, I kind of want to die. But they never go through with it. They just kind of like, okay, this is how I feel. Let me be present in this. It doesn't mean you go out and do stupid shit. Like, or like, God, I just want this person dead. I hope they die. I hope they kill themselves or some shit. And that might be like, oh, you should never say that. But it's like, sometimes some people make you feel that way. And you have to acknowledge that. And like, you just have to admit it to yourself and move forward. You know? And it's okay to feel angry and feeling hateful about it. You know, especially if they've done horrible things to you. And, you know, I kind of wonder with people who have been through really messed up abuse, they're told, you have to forgive, you have to forgive. It's like, okay, that's great. And there are some people that do hang on to anger, but I notice the ones that hang on to anger more and more and more are the people that are the ones that tell or have been told, and they have to follow this toxic thing of like going, oh yeah, well, I should never hate. And it's like, okay, look, that doesn't mean you haul off and punch that person, although sometimes maybe it's deserved. But or if they're threatening you, you do have a reason to fight back. But the thing is, you don't sit there and just not do anything. You say, well, turn the other cheek. It's like, sometimes, yeah, some things are not, they're not worth your time to get into. But that's just different. But there are times like sometimes, I mean, I don't actually mean like a lot of people that are super Christian, but sometimes the people do quote that to me. And I just said, yeah, but also Jesus told people to go fuck themselves too. When the time was right. He didn't use those words, but he was saying like, I mean, again, I'm not trying to proselytize about anything. It's just funny because when I did used to go to church, I wouldn't really quote anything, but now since I don't anymore because I kind of follow my own thing, but it's sort of like they make more sense now, but in a different way. You know, it's like, I'm done with you, fuck off. You know?
Right. No, sometimes you have to like just cut off the negativity of the other people that dragging that to you and just push it away and just like move forward and saying, because like if you keep that around, I don't know, it sits on you like an elephant, and it's not a good feeling. I know my mom had some issues with posts, and when she passed away, I just kind of was like, you know what, I'm done with all this over here. It's not anything I need to. Once my parents passed away, I just kind of like compartmentalized a lot of folks, and just like, okay, I'm gonna move forward and do my own thing. Still keep in contact with those that I got along with, because there was a whole subsection of people. And just like, no.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes. Yeah, there are some times where like you're just kind of at this point now where it's like, I don't want to deal with you. Go away. Get lost. It's like kind of like, I guess I forgot what that guy's name. He was like a big red nose guy. It's like in the really old school.
Santa Claus?
No, where he says, "Go away, kid. You bother me."
Oh.
I forgot his name. I mean, he's long dead. These were old movies, but I just remember that he's like, "Go away, kid. You bother me." You know.
Oh.
I think it's like Casey Williams. I'm tempted to say, but maybe I'm wrong.
It's in my head. Like, I mean, I know I've been Travis, find it.
Oh, W.C. Fields, right?
There you go.
Yeah, W.C. Fields. Like, he would just play this, like, fat bum that was kind of a dick. And then, like, some kid would come up to him and he says, "Go away, kid, you bother me," you know? And he'd, like, kind of push him away. And they, like, emulated that a lot in Bugs Bunny and shit like that, so.
Yeah.
But I just love those.
I don't know. I love Looney Tunes cartoons just for that. There was a lot of fantastical stuff going on in those cartoons, but also the reality of certain aspects of stuff, just general life.
Yeah.
Happening. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I enjoyed them.
Yeah, I think like they had a rawness that they had before. And we were just kind of laughing about that shit too. It's just like, you know, like we've had discussions on that too, my friends and I. It's like some of the old cartoons, like it's not something that would be acceptable anymore as like daily sort of interactions. But you know, you just have to kind of acknowledge them for the historical things that they were portraying as well.
Right.
So it's kind of funny. So we were just sort of laughing about it and stuff. So. But yeah, like I like South Park because it's completely irrelevant. But I wish there was more stuff that was really irrelevant. I mean, Rick and Morty is fine, but it's just demented. But just something that's like as satirical as South Park is great, because they'll just like draw stuff and do terrible things. Like actually, one of the comic book writers that I like, well, not writers, but he's an artist called Johnny Ryan. Quentin will fucking light up at this, and but no, Johnny Ryan, he just draws the most fucking sick ass shit ever. He's a wonderful artist. He's a nice guy too, but it's funny because like Johnny Ryan, I love that guy because all the time he gets like flagged by Instagram for this shit and that shit. But he just draws these things, and like I like his sense of humor about it, because it's like, oh yeah, Johnny Ryan was like going like, yeah, I think to myself, maybe I shouldn't draw that, and then he says, nah, wait, maybe I should. And he's like, but he does stuff that's shocking to make a point. Like one of the things he drew was like, and it got taken off Instagram. It's like Instagram, like in the central zone where they're censoring people. It's like, oh no, look, a swastika made out of tits, ban it. And we're just like laughing. And he drew all these tits in this thing. But then he's drawn other shit, like he did a coronavirus one, like where it was coronavirus, it was like coronavirus porn, like they were trying to go and undress women and shit, and like, what the fuck is this? Like some of this stuff I'm like, whoa, you know. And he had the Mr. Pillow guy, but it was like a flesh pillow, like it was kind of like basket case. It was like, it's an old one. Yeah, that shit was great. It's just like he draws really disgusting things, but sometimes people go like, well, why is there a point to being disgusting? And I said, well, if you're just being disgusting for the sake of being disgusting, I don't think it's great. But if you actually have a thing where you're being disgusting, but you're being funny, and it's like kind of one of those things, like you kind of laugh at the loss and noise, like it just kind of is so ridiculous to you, you start laughing. And in that way, I kind of find that comedy harder, because you kind of get lazy and you kind of want to do the poop and shit humor. But at the same time, you're kind of like going, well, wait a minute, I kind of want to make this more sophisticated. Another one is John Callahan. He was a quadriplegic, and he died, I think, in 2005 of pneumonia, which sucked. But he drew the most fucking fucked up NPC shit in the world. Yeah. And the thing is, he was a quadriplegic because he got into an accident when he was young. He used to be a hardcore alcoholic. So he essentially had a DUI, crashed his car, and he crashed through the windshield and severed part of his spinal column. Yeah, so he had to live the rest of his life. So he's kind of a quadruple. I forgot what the thing was, but he could only hold it and push, but he didn't have any finger things. But what he hated as being a disabled individual, he said, what I fucking hate is people like talk to you like you're not human. They have to coddle you. And I got so pissed off at that. So he did this one book, Joaquin Phoenix was in it, and I really want to watch it. I haven't gotten around to watching it. It's Don't Worry, He Won't Get Far on Foot. And it talks about his life in the early years when he was just getting adjusted to being this. And he had just such a fucked up sense of humor. He would get hate mail all the time and publish it.
Oh, from his, like, the stuff that he drew?
Yeah, like there was one where, you know, like how you would have the bums, like the homeless guys with the amputees, and they'd push themselves around in carts. Like that was the really old school, like Eddie Murphy, and you know how he... So it showed one guy, and he's just ahead, and he's talking to another guy who's just ahead but with an eye patch, and he
yeah.
says, "You've been my inspiration all these years."
Oh, jeez.
So it's just this, but it's like this. I like fucked up humor because it will go there where no one else wants to go, and that's what I like about it, and that's what I like about offensive humor, because it's like you draw it just. I mean, there's the thing. Yeah, there are people that draw it to troll, and that is kind of a point to that humor. But you know the people that are actually brilliant at it because they do it and they continue to make you fucking laugh.
Right. Sometimes that line between like humor and horrific is so thin, and but it's so brilliant, right? Because it gets to that point of being horrifying, but it's so humorous.
Yeah, it's like weird because like, so Quentin, one of my good readers, like when I was telling him about Johnny Ryan, he says, "So what's that about Johnny Ryan?" And I said, "Well, okay, let me give you an example of what Johnny Ryan did." And you'll probably go like, "Oh fuck, I don't know if I want to talk to her again after this." No, one of the things that he drew was it was called 6911. So if you ever Google that, it is some shit. Yeah, and you're like looking at this because you're just shocked because it was a horrific, horrible thing, and you're not laughing because of that. But then it's like, it's about 69. We will leave it at that. So it's kind of like the two juxtapositions of totally complete different things, and you just start laughing because it's like, this is so shocking. And Quentin will fucking go on about it because I told him about it, and then he came back and he was laughing his ass. He was crying with laughter. He's like, "Oh my god, this is the best thing ever." And I'm just like, I think for me, there's always a thing of wanting to push it more and more. You know, like, I just want to see how... I'm not people's personal boundaries. I'm not saying that. Like, if a person tells me no, then it's no. Okay, but I'm talking about, what are you comfortable looking at? And it's sort of to see, like, how I want to go and do that uncomfortable thing.
Right.
So...
I know, like, sometimes, like, I know you and I have been in a couple of Russell's anthologies together, and people have, like, flipped through, and it's like, you can see as they flip through the anthology, as they flip through anthologies, different art styles and stuff. Either they gravitate towards them, or they don't know what to do with it because their brain just is catching up to whatever it is, and it's always great to watch their faces go from one page to what am I looking at to, oh my gosh, there's the punchline, or there's the message, and it's so great to watch people flip through anthologies.
Yeah, it's kind of like, also, I don't know what it is with me, but it's like, I find it funny when people get really upset at my work. Because they get really mad, and I'm just like, why are you getting mad? It's just a picture. It's like, how dare you draw about this? I'm like, why the fuck I wouldn't? You know, it's a free country.
Yeah, I mean, you're putting your art out there. You're getting your story out and doing your own representation of whatever that story is.
Yeah.
If they don't have to look at it, you know. I know when Travis invited me on to do Starlight, I won't say I was a little bit apprehensive, because a lot of people know me for Junior vs. the Apocalypse, which is a very kid-friendly, family-oriented book series.
Yeah.
And Starlight's got a lot of drug references, it's, you know, rave culture and stuff, but it was definitely part of my life when I was younger, and it was definitely something that I felt like if I'm going to be true to these things, and, you know, like, this is a story that I really enjoyed reading when I started reading with Travis. I have to, you know, working on it, you have to do the thing, right? You can't just like, oh, that's cool, thanks a lot for the offer, you know?
Yeah, right.
You have to be true to the art, whatever it is, so put it out there. And that's like, a friend asked if, like, how I like, is this something that you're proud of? And I was like, of course it is. You know, it's just like, this is something that I go. Honestly, I'm more afraid of this because of the difference of what I've done to what this is, and, you know, and how people will perceive it or take it, because it's such a different thing. And that's, you know, I'm sure anytime anybody that's artistic and puts their art out there, it's always like, it's either you do it for the shock, you do it for the excitement of seeing what people's reactions are, or you're just like, how will people react? And that's where I'm at with this.
You know,
I'm excited.
I think for me too, it's like, I sort of laugh about it, because like sometimes people like, I think it's like also I dealt with like really hypersensitive people. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't mind talking about sensitive subjects. I also don't mind talking to people that are sensitive. I was told you're too sensitive, so I got plenty of that shit. But the thing is, like, you know the difference of being extremely sensitive or being a bit more sensitive than other people compared to people that just fucking get butthurt about everything. And it's like, because they don't really give a fuck about your feelings. They just are angry about because they're angry. And I always like fucking with people like that because usually they're the first persons assholes that were ever telling me you're too hypersensitive. I'm like, oh, but then when you fucking have a shit fit, you fucking have no problems. Like, fuck you. So I think basically for me, I just like fucking with people that just like, I don't give a fuck anymore what they want because they've already extended that goodwill of bullshit to me. So I just start kind of messing with them. And like one guy got really mad because one of my friends is a vegan, right? And I don't care, you know, like we just talk. It's a dietary thing with her, whatever. I know people that are quote unquote, you know, moral vegans. I know people that are there like because they need to eat it because due to their diet. I'm fine with it. I like some vegan foods, you know. Yeah. I find some vegan recipes great. You know, I'm not going to be yelling and being an asshole about it either way. But there was this one thing that my friend gave me, and it was just like, you know, fucking vegans are satanic because Satan equals Satan. And, you know, like it was just ridiculous. Like it was ridiculous shit, you know, and it was obviously ridiculous. And it's like Satan equals Satan. And Morningstar is really Lucifer's first name and everything. Last name or something before he fell. And it's true. It has some facts. Like, yeah, that was the case with Lucifer. But it was just fucking fun. Yeah, it was just fucking funny, you know. It was just ridiculous, you know. Like, who's going to believe this? And this one guy got so mad at me. And he just started saying, like, how come you put this up here? I'm like, I just did. And it was in a group where I could do that. I said, I did. And he just said, I can't believe you did this. What does this mean? You know, your drawings used to be okay, but this demon bitch has got into more and more of it. And I just started laughing more and more because it was just like, you are that mad over something. You fucking little bitch.
I love it. This summer I was at Comic-Con in Omaha, and a friend of mine from Chicago, Allie Cantarella, came out, and she and I were talking about doing a vegan intermission panel. Although she's not 100% vegan, she does eat very consciously. So we did this panel, and it was all about just, you know, mindful eating, in which I pulled out a 2-pound summer sausage and just started eating it. And the majority of the folks that were in the panel to watch it were a majority of vegans.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
About vegan eating, and the looks on everyone's faces was very, very disturbed. And I said, hey, you know, I was a vegetarian for about 5 years, and it wasn't really a good fit. And then I was a freegan for about 5 years, and that's somebody who just eats whatever. You know, if it comes out of, if it comes from wherever, you eat it. And that was my lifestyle, because I was pretty much a dumpster diver at a point, and, you know, just eating, like, I had friends that worked in grocery stores that were just like, here, we got this is like coming off the shelf, and just, you know, eat it, whatever, you know, buy it for me, I'll sell it to you out of the trunk. And, like, all right, cool, whatever. And, you know, majority of the meats and stuff like that I eat, very, very low on, you know, on my, like, I'm gonna go buy meat, it is whatever. But hey, I'll eat a 2-pound summer sausage to see if I can do it. It beat me in the panel. I did not finish the whole thing. I was sick the rest of the night.
Yeah, that's a lot, man.
That's a snack to me, guys.
What, Travis?
That's just a snack to me.
It's a snack to you?
I'll take a 2-pound summer sausage and 2 bags of crackers to go with that. Just as my appetizer before I get my 82-ounce steak.
Oh,
cool down Luke some eggs, dude.
Oh god, I just like draw all sorts of. I just drew that, like, one time this one woman got really pissed at me for personal monsters because she said, like, oh, you're pushing misogynistic tropes, and I looked at her like, I was like, I have tits, what the fuck you talking about? And like, but she was just such a bitch to me, and I was like laughing at her because it's like, you're gonna be this upset. Then I looked at her fucking artwork, and I was like, well, I see why you're upset. You just have absolutely no passion. And again, I don't do that with people. Yeah, I mean, I don't do that with people, like, on point blank with their artwork. But if you're going to be a cunt to me, I'm going to go and be a bitch to you. Like, fuck off. It's like, don't come and attack me when you got nothing. Go away, you know? Get lost. Go away, you bother me, little girl. And then they get all pissed. Oh yeah. I'm not into the mean girl shit. Like, fuck that mean girl shit. I'll be so. It's just like I'll be like, oh okay, and then I'll either draw about it later. I'll just make fun of them. So yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. But it's about that time. So guys, you have a great day. I'm sorry that Facebook Live sucked ass, but I gave Travis the code for the link for Twitch, so anybody could look at it.
Awesome.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you guys, and you have a great day. It's good to meet you.
Thanks for having us.
Bye. Please support the Kickstarter. You better.